What's up, everybody? I got one of my dearest friends, Zach Russell, here with me tonight, talking about his new album that's coming out this Friday. What's up, Zach?
What's going on, Brandon?
Oh, just riding out the storm like everybody else is, waiting for the floodgates to open so we can get
Yeah.
back out there and hang out with everybody, man.
Yeah, man, same for me. Just haven't done anything in almost a year now.
Yeah,
So,
it's a little crazy, having this much time off for like people like me and you who are normally just always out doing something. So, you have to find ways to keep yourself busy and you find constructive stuff like you're doing and recording a whole album.
yeah, it's fun at first, because you're always like, man, I wish I could take a year off. And then you get made to take a year off, and it's like, oh, about 6 months in, you're like, I'm gonna lose my mind.
The crazy part is, like I'll be sitting here at the house and I think about stuff like that when everything goes back to normal, where it's like, I can't wait to get back out and start playing gigs again. But it's like, I know I'm such a terrible person that first night I get back out there. I'm going to be like, man, I wish I was just sleeping in my own fucking bed tonight.
That's
That's
what I was telling Hannah. I was like, and my girlfriend was like, yeah, I wonder how long it's gonna take when things go back to normal for me to be like, man, I miss quarantine. Like how quick.
it'll be within the first week for me.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Yeah, I got to play a gig down in Tennessee like a week ago, actually, just with my three-piece, just small little fun gig. And it was like on the way there, I was like, man, I totally could have just slept for like another 6 or 7 hours before all this happens. So I know I'm doomed whenever everything goes back to normal. I've
Oh,
just become so adapt to the lazy life here at home.
there will be an adjustment period for sure. It'll take some
Absolutely.
getting used to.
So let's go ahead and dive into this album you got coming out this Friday. You got a name for the record?
Yeah, it's called The Creek.
Awesome. How many songs you got coming out on this?
It's 5, so I guess it's more of an EP
Okay. Well,
than
it
an
depends
LP.
on how long the songs are. Russ used to put out like 4-song records back in the day, but they'd be like
Each,
30-minute songs.
yeah,
Well, cool. So who do you got playing on this record with you? I would assume you got Kyle doing some stuff on it, I would imagine. Who else do you have playing on it?
well, Kyle Crownover, he produced the record, so he's not playing on it anywhere.
Okay.
But we've got buddy Axel Coe is playing drums on it, and we've got Matthew Helmkamp does most of the guitars on it, and we've got Chaz Covington on the bass guitars. Then we've got, let's see, make sure I'm not forgetting, but we've got Jesse Wells. He's playing like fiddles and mandolins and a little bit of this, a little bit of everything, and then got James Barker doing steel guitar on a couple places.
Nice. So you got a whole cast of people helping you out with this thing.
Oh yeah,
So are
it's a
most of
lot
these
better than I
people
could have made.
are most of these people studio guys there in Nashville, or are these people that you personally know and play with on a regular basis?
Uh, they're all friends. Jesse and James, they're from um, Tyler Childers' band, so
Okay.
they're buddies of mine. And then, yeah, the other guys are just like Axel, Matthew, and Chaz. Chaz and Matt in particular, guys I've known for a long time, like since we were all in college. And Matt plays for like Ashley McBride now, and
Okay.
Chaz plays for a girl named Abby Barrett or Gabby Barrett. Um, and Axel plays with a bunch of people, like a really crazy good drummer. So it's mostly just a friend thing. They're not really like studio guys. They do studio work, but it's mostly just like
Okay.
friend
Very
stuff. Yeah.
nice. So you got a little camaraderie going around, so you can actually, when you go into the studio, it's not necessarily where you feel like you're on a. There's a little more less pressure when you're working with guys you're comfortable with like that. So I think that's one thing that's really going to resonate with the album is that you're talking about stuff like that. So when did you start writing the material for this? Because I know you're always writing. You've always got a guitar in your hand when you're sitting around. Is this material you've had sitting around for a while, or is this newer stuff?
It's mostly pretty new stuff, I guess, at least within the last like year or so. I'd say a good bit of it I wrote in quarantine.
Okay.
Um, there's not a lot of like I wasn't really pulling from the archives or anything with these. They're just kind of
Uh
oh,
oh. Video's gone. I can hear you. There you are.
sorry, I
It's
got
cool.
a phone call.
It's straight.
Yeah, I wasn't really pulling from the archives. It's mostly like recent stuff, and I mean, you know how it is. Every time you write a song, it's your favorite song you ever written. You know, so
Sometimes.
it's
Sometimes. Well, cool. So are you working with a label at all, or are you putting this out on your own? What's the plan of attack with this thing whenever it comes out?
it's just completely independent, just completely solo. If there's anybody out there that wants to give me a bunch of money for it, you know, let me know. But as of right now, it's just me and just hoping through the small circle of friends and fans that I've made that it'll catch fire and break out of that circle, you know, and we'll see.
Absolutely. Now, for anybody that doesn't know, Zach's been part of Tyler Childers' crew for the last few years, his touring crew. Kind of brief everybody on how that came about and what your job entitles within the crew.
I sell the t-shirts, so that's the job in a nutshell. And my college roommate, Kyle Crownover, he was Tyler's tour manager, like basically right before Tyler's first big album came out. And yeah, he got in at a good time, and then it was just the crew was growing and needed somebody, and I jumped in, and I've been doing that for a couple of years now.
What's that been like working with Tyler? Do you have a lot of hands-on time with him, just hanging out on the road, or what's your daily schedule kind of entail with them?
It was I I had a lot more time with them, I guess, at the start because we were all on one bus. So it's just like you just existed in the same place. But since then, it's kind of grown to like a two bus thing. So there's like a crew rig and a band rig for the most part. So I mean, yeah, I mean we're all around the same place, all like going to catering at the same time, and you know, but
Very cool. One thing I wanted to touch on a bit was I might be totally wrong on this. I think right whenever the pandemic hit, weren't you in Europe with Tyler whenever that happened, or was that just Sturgill, or where were you at whenever everything kind of got put on lockdown?
it got shut down in March was like the when the tour got canceled. We were in Charleston, South Carolina.
Okay, so you guys were actually out on the road and got sent back.
Yeah, we had just gotten back from Europe at like the end of January, and then we'd head out for the Sturgill tour, and then it got shut down.
Did you guys have any like inclination that something like that might happen? Were you hearing rumblings like in the industry? Because there's really mixed things. Some people around that time were like, this is all going to be gone in like a week. And then there was just so many mixed emotions. What were you really hearing around that time?
Well, I mean, this is like an unprecedented thing that's happened, you know. So it's no one really, I think, expected like the extent that it was going to go to. But we knew like it's like, oh, like the Canada dates are going to be canceled. Philadelphia is going to get canceled because that's apparently one of the cities that hit like really hard first. But then at the beginning, it was like just calling it off for like a couple weeks, and we're gonna jump back in April or whatever.
Yeah.
And I guess it's just like, yeah, when the flu gets running around a school, you know, they're like, we'll close school for 3 days, and then over the weekend, like everybody will come back in, it'll be good. But it was not like that.
Yeah, and man, like you said, very unprecedented times. So you never know how this is gonna go. We're literally almost a year into it at this point. So the no idea where the ball is rolling at this point. Just kind of like I said at the beginning, waiting for the call for everything to kind of open back up. So
Yeah, yeah. It might never open back up at this rate.
hey man,
It's not looking great.
I've seen plenty of those people that are just like, y'all are crazy if you think it's going back to the way it was before. And I mean, who knows? They could be the crazy people. We could be the crazy people. I think we're all crazy. So
Oh yeah.
there's no telling what's going to happen. But, luckily with the vaccine rollouts and everything, hopefully there's going to be some normality coming back this summer. I think you're going to be able to go see some outdoor shows this summer for sure with the vaccines, but you got to keep an eye on all those new strains that are coming out and everything. So, man, it's just it's crazy how everything is going on right now. And there's double standards for certain things and all that. Certain parts of the industry can work and others can't. There's just a lot of double standards that, just kind of make you feel a little weird about certain stuff.
Oh yeah, like shopping malls can be open for just like people nut to butt running around Opry Mills Mall because you
Absolutely.
can't have a show. Like, it's just kind of like, why is
It was in
yeah.
reality I guess when you technically break it down, the argument is that none of it should technically be happening right now. But
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
it's a little mind-boggling when you can't go play a club show to 200 people, but then you turn on the Super Bowl and there's 25,000 people at Raymond James Stadium in Tampa Bay. It's like there's just some double standards that kind of stick out like that to me, because I mean, it's not necessarily even going out on a limb. Like 90% of the musicians that are trying to get back out there playing gigs right now aren't doing it for a selfish reason because we want to go play gigs or something like that. This is how we survive. This is how we
Yeah,
pay
it's
our bills. It's the same
you
thing as
have
somebody
to.
going and clocking in down at Walmart or something like that. When you break it down, we're all just trying to survive, and it's a little heartbreaking.
Oh yeah, it's not like everybody's not an arena performer that can afford to take a year off. There's a thousands of working class musicians as well, even people you may consider to be like successful, like big acts or something. Like they rely on that income, and it's strange. Also, like, has the CDC ever been to one of my shows? They're naturally social distanced.
Yeah, that was like
I'm
one of the
pretty sure.
greatest pictures ever when it started. It was like I was playing socially distanced gigs before it was cool, and other ones it's like I was playing venues at 20% capacity before it was cool.
Absolutely. It's like, so you're telling me 5 people can't sit in this dive bar right now?
Yeah, as they drank their PBR and desanitize or sanitize. I don't know why I said desanitize. Alcohol is sanitizing them. That's what I was getting at. So cool, man. I want to kind of jump into some of your early music history. It's stuff I've never really gotten to really ask you about, which is crazy considering we've known each other for like 50 years now, I think. So,
Yeah, something like that.
So when did you start playing music? And I know that you sing now, but if I'm correct, you didn't sing when you first started playing music. It was just guitar, right?
I started playing guitar when I was, I guess, like 13, 14 years old. I started playing in like my Baptist church band. So it was like old Red Book hymnal type stuff. And I sang a little in church and here and there, but I didn't really start like writing my own songs and singing them until I was about like 16 or 17. But ever since then, yeah, I've been singing to anybody that'll hear me.
So who got you your first guitar and what kind of gravitated you towards that?
My mom had like an old Fender acoustic, and So that was like the first thing I ever started like playing on. I don't know. I guess I was like a fan of like Leonard Skinner and just AC/DC,
The
And
good
I guess
stuff, yeah.
yeah. And I guess I don't know. I just wanted to play guitar, and my parents definitely like gave me the push to really start and really practice and this and that. But yeah, I just always kind of liked the guitar, I think.
So how long was it after you started playing that Save the City formed? And was that technically your first real band once you started jamming with other people?
Yeah, for sure. So that was the first band I ever like played a show with or
Okay.
anything.
What was
Like
your first
that.
show with Save the City? I want to hear about that. Can you tell me the story of the first Save the City gig?
So it was at this church, like in the youth center of the church, I guess.
Okay.
And I mean, Campbell County and La Follette. There's not a lot of
Absolutely.
shows and stuff that go on in that. So we like put on the show. I mean, we flyered and promoted for it for like weeks. And when it came, I mean, there was so many people there, like more people than have been at one of my shows, and I couldn't tell you how long. And yeah, we were not great though. Obviously, like we'd never played a show before. It was I couldn't even tell you how the songs go nowadays, but it was not.
Oh, I can tell you how they go. uh, so what was the response at that first gig? Were you still getting good responses? Because when you're young like that and you go watch one of your friends' bands, you're almost so excited just to see one of your friends play like that when you're that young that you kind of, maybe the technicality kind of takes a back seat. So what kind of responses were you guys getting that night?
There was certainly a mixed bag of responses.
Okay, we'll
Uh,
pause real quick. For anybody that doesn't know, Save the City was a like hardcore screamo band, and it had religious messages in the lyrics. Correct. So that's why you guys were playing at churches and stuff like that. But the music was very heavy, like lots of breakdowns. Just about as heavy as you can think of stuff. So that's why I'm really interested at the response you got at the local church in La Follette.
yeah, I mean I haven't thought about that in a long time. It was definitely a lot of like backlash from the church.
I was going to say that the young
Like,
people probably enjoyed it, but I can only imagine because this was what year was this? Probably 2007, 2008.
this would have been like 2007, something
Okay,
like
so
that.
some of the older folks in La Follette around that time, man, I can only imagine.
They had just gotten drum sets in churches for the first time. So
Oh man,
this was we're
rocking the
in there
boat.
we're in there shaking the altar, and it was not didn't go over well everywhere.
Yeah, I remember it was about 10 years ago they started talking about having a church band at Walnut Hill where mine and Tyler's family goes. And I remember some of the older people in the church were like, that stuff doesn't belong in here. And it's like the same songs they're already singing, just with a few more people up there helping
Oh
out.
yeah.
But
Well, it's so
so,
silly because like I mean, when they first started putting pianos in churches, people were like, "No, that doesn't belong in here. That's for the jazz halls and the
yeah,
brothels."
yeah. And now look what happened. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Then you got bands like Save the City playing at your local church. So who was
Oh
in the
boy.
band that first night? Because I know you guys had a couple different people in the band, but who was there at that first gig?
I know for sure it was obviously me, Tyler, Sean, and Daniel. So Sean Lips, Tyler Thomas, Daniel Holzenbach. There might have been a fifth person.
I was
If
gonna say,
there
didn't you guys
was,
always have two guitarists?
we did down the line. I don't know
Okay.
about that one. Like, I don't know. Like we were figuring things out when we got started, obviously. So things changed really quickly as over a matter of 2 or 3 years. Um, yeah, maybe there was somebody else there. Honestly, I can't tell you. I
Now,
would have.
in that band, were you the main songwriter? Were those all your songs that were getting brought to the table in that, or were some of the other guys helping out with certain stuff?
It was mostly me. I think we might have had some riffs or something or things we came up with together. Like I think at that point I had some songs that I brought, and then I would bring in like a riff or something, and we jam on it,
Very
kind of
nice.
make some, yeah.
Well, cool. I'll quit busting your balls about Save the City for a minute, and we can kind of get back on track. But, I kind of like to give a brief background on kind of a few things that everybody's done so everybody can kind of get a gist on them. But so after Save the City, it wasn't too long, I don't think. You ended up going to MTSU down in Murfreesboro. And what exactly was your degree down there? Obviously, it was for music, but what was your actual degree you got from there?
So I started out as music theory, and then I kind of uh, just wasn't enjoying the program, so I ended up transferring over and doing songwriting. So my degree is actually in songwriting.
Okay. Are there certain stuff that you picked up while you were there, like getting your songwriting degree that you still use to this day, like during your songwriting?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, there's um, a lot of the things that you learn in songwriting. It's like you were already doing those things like intuitively, um, but you aren't really thinking about them, and they don't have names. Like the pieces don't have names that you're playing with. So the program definitely helped. Like, all right, uh, these are forms. Like these are pieces of forms, and so things you were already like thinking of or knew intuitively. Now you have names and language for them. So now you know a little bit more of what you're doing.
Very nice. So cool. Let's kind of jump back into this new album you got coming out on Friday. You mentioned there's 5 songs on these. Can you give us a track listing real quick? The name of the tracks that are coming out? And real quick before that, I know you've got Dust on the Pillowcase and Sugar Baby on Spotify. Are those 2 songs going to be on this record?
They will not. So these are
Okay. I wasn't
5
sure.
new songs. Yeah.
Very nice. Give us a track listing real quick if you can.
So we've got number 1, The Creek. Number 2 is Drinking to Forget. 3 is Hurt Me. 4 is Dirt in My Eye. And 5 is One More.
Okay, One More would be the one that you posted the clip with the Mandalorian, right?
Yeah.
That was great. Did you make that or did somebody else make that?
I it was like an automatic generated thing I found
Okay,
online or something.
that's great. I'll have to find that. I love the Mandalorian. Have you watched it?
I haven't. I didn't know
Oh
that was
man.
like from something,
Oh wow.
honestly.
Oh, dude, you got to dive into the Mandalorian. It's great. It's arguably the best thing Star Wars has done in a really long time. I definitely recommend checking that out. Are you into Star Wars at all?
Um, I watched like episode 1 when I was a kid, and I
Okay.
watched the last one. But honestly, I had like eaten some weed edibles and just had no idea. And I hadn't seen any of the other ones, so I just had no idea what was going on.
That's absolutely fantastic. And it can be a little uncomfortable, like that sitting in a movie theater. So,
Well,
uh,
luckily it was like in between Christmas and New Year's, so there was nobody else in the theaters. It was pretty nice. You
nice.
kind of freak out in peace.
I actually think the last movie I went to see in theater was The Force Awakens, the first of the new 3 with of the new Star Wars. And me and one of my buddies, we went out drinking and got real nice and relaxed before we went and watched this movie. So, we're in this movie feeling pretty good. And I'm not sure if you're familiar. Spoiler alert for anybody that hasn't seen this movie that's now almost a decade old. But towards the end, of course, Han Solo gets fucking stabbed in the chest with a lightsaber and killed. And like I said, we've been drinking and everything before we get there. And like as this happened, like I'm like in the theater, like no, like, and I'm like the only person that's like freaking out. And I'm like, does nobody else see what's going on? Like, it was
like, are y'all made of stone? This man just
Harrison Ford just got killed with a lightsaber. Come on, show some sympathy.
just got his life taken
by his son, nonetheless. So yeah, cool. Well, dude, I appreciate you so much coming on here and giving me a little bit of your time and talking about this new record. So before we get out of here, kind of brief everybody what's coming up. Do you have any plans for this record? I know that with everything kind of being the way it is with live shows, what's kind of in the foreseeable future with this record, with the way things are right now?
But right now, we're just putting it out. Don't really know what else to do with it at this point. Hopefully, when we move on to the summer, there'll be some opportunities to do some playing around. But as of now, there's nothing.
Any talk
nothing on the
of
books.
possibly playing some shows with Tyler in support of it when those things are available?
No talk of that. I got a long line of people in front of me to get that gig.
Hey, well, you heard it here. Everybody go tweet at Tyler Childers right now and say you're not going to the next tour unless Zach opens. No, I'm just kidding. Don't do that. You can do that, but
don't do that.
Yeah, don't do that. Well, cool, man. I really look forward to hearing this record. I've been a big fan of your stuff, and you're out of everybody I know, I don't think there's one person that has a more diverse catalog than Zach Russell, because you can go find videos of bands like Save the City where there's 20 people in a mosh pit just beating the hell out of each other. You can go turn on Dust on the Pillowcase and you just feel like drinking whiskey with your dog. And, so I got to give you kudos, man. You're one of the most talented people I've known, and I consider you a dear friend for a long time. I'm very much looking forward to hearing this record, and I really appreciate you coming on here and talking to me for a little while.
Hey, man, I appreciate it. I think the world of you too, Brandon.
Oh, you're going to make me start crying right here in front of everybody, man. Well, cool. Before we get out of here, me and you will be able to say goodbye off camera, but let everybody know where they can find all your stuff at online.
So basically all my socials are, it's Zach Russell, ITSZACHRUSSELL. And then I also have a merch shop that just went live today. And that is ZachRussellMerchandise.myshopify.com. So it's
very nice. What kind of merch you got sitting on there right now?
We got 2 t-shirts, a hat, a koozie, and a sticker.
Nice. That's all you need. That's the setup right there. Well, all right, man. I appreciate you coming on here, and I appreciate everybody tuning in tonight. I will be back here Thursday night with Mr. Ace Vaughn Johnson from LA Guns. Very much looking forward to this. Hadn't announced that yet, so everybody that's listening just got the new episode announcement before everybody else. So, Zach Russell, thank you so much, man, and thank you all for tuning in tonight.
Thank you all for having me.